Hey guys, welcome back. It's your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I am here with more ancient civilizations of the Inner Sea for you. We left off in our previous video. We had done the first part of the first phase, the growth phase, and we stopped a little early because we were right there at the card phase. So we're going to pick right up with that. Make sure if you haven't watched part one that you go ahead and watch that, because this isn't going to make a whole lot of sense if you haven't seen it. So like I said, we're going to jump into it. And when you're playing solitaire like this, you can have all the cards for each player set face up. Like I do, I've got my cards set face up here. I've got the AI's cards set face up here because there's no hidden information. Like you're not going to randomly draw the AI's cards for it to determine what it plays. There is a chart that it goes by as far as its play, so you can have the cards up for each side. Now, we left off. I am still first player. So we go directly, like I said, into this card phase. And each civilization, one at a time, in turn order, performs one of the following three activities. Plays a fate card, other than competition cards, because you can't do that just yet. Builds a wonder. This is when you can build these special little guys over here to the right, which I'm going to try to get one of those on the board probably next turn. Or you can pass. And once you pass, you're done with the exception of negate cards. You can still play those in like response to something. But you can't play any more fate cards or build wonders once you have done that. So once both civilizations pass, then we go on to our competition phase. So since I am the first, I'm trying to decide. I was looking at this like, okay, there's some of these that are going to attack my opponent. There are some that are going to help me out. What do I do first? And I'm kind of thinking I'm going to do this one because this gives me 2 talents, which is 2 money. And then every civilization that occupies at least one area bordering the southern map edge, which I'm down here at the southern map edge, gains a talent as well. That means I get 3 talents, and I can use those to negate the losses of some of my discs. So I think I'm going to go with that. We'll place this into the discard. I've got my 3 little printed out bowls over here. I will grab my 3 discs and I'll place them also into my little loot pile here, my treasury. That gives me 4 of those that I can use. Oh, and I printed out some more of these. I love having these little bowls, hexagon bowls on hand, because they do so well for counter holders and stuff like this. So I've played a card. I played a fate card. Now it goes to the AI. And the AI has a little chart here. Their card play priorities. And they're going to start at the top and work their way down. And they're going to try to work in this order. So one of the first things they're going to do is anything that gains the NPC more cards in hand. And our opponent, Troy up here, actually does have a card in hand that will get them more cards. Place this card face up on the table with 3 discs from the supply on it. At the beginning of your draw step, you may return a disc to the supply. If you do draw 2 cards, then discard a card. So basically, you get an extra card and you get a little bit of a choice on which card that's going to be. So let's slide these out of the way. And we'll place 3 discs. So they get 3 times that they get to use this, because you only have so many discs in your supply. Now, if you're playing a bigger game with more players and you only have your color, then that really is going to limit you between what you can have on the board, what you can have over here, what you can have off to the side, and then what you can have on the wonders as well. So it can come into play. When you got a one-on-one like I've got going here, it's less of an issue because, like I said, I can add extra colors to this. Like I could add the light blue for mine and the purple for these guys and just expand the game and have a bigger game if one side runs low on disc. I don't know if we'll end up needing it, but we'll play it out. So their first priority, getting more cards. We're going to go back to me. And like I said, I'm trying to decide what is best. See, this, I like remove a disc from any city. But remember, Troy can't have discs taken from their city. So that would only mean I could hit just one of those 2 cities up there. Is there any restriction? Yeah, then must choose to either lose another disc from that area or discard a card. The AI will always discard a card rather than lose a disc. And I'm kind of thinking I'm going to go that route for my next card play to slow them down a little bit, to keep them having another card coming into it. So yeah, let's do that. We'll remove one disc and they'll discard a card, because like I said in the AI thing, the AI is always going to try to lose talents, cards, stuff like that before it's going to lose disc off the board. We'll take one from one of their cities. We'll take it from this city, and then we'll discard a card for our AI. Now, let's see what our AI has. All cards that build, restore, benefit a wonder. They don't have any doing that just yet. That bury or harm a wonder. I don't have any. All cards that gain the NPC victory points. Now, yes, they do have a card that does that. This one, Seafarers discover a sunken city. Gain 1 victory point and 1 talent, then choose one. Place 1 disc into a deep sea area. I don't really think they're going to go for that. Or place 2 discs into a shallow area. That I think they'll go for. Okay, so they're going to get 1 victory point. They're the first ones on the board. And 1 talent. We'll grab the talent, put that right there. And then 2 discs into a shallow area. And I'm thinking, really want to go either here or up there. Maybe. Well, I'll tell you what, if they go there, they can expand into this land area or the island. If they go there, they can only expand into the island. So this gives them a little bit more options. So we'll go with that as the best move for them. They're expanding. They get a little fleet out there in the ocean. Card play for them. Let's take this down. And like I said, we're just going back and forth. Boom, 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 boom. Until we run out. Now, I do have a negate card. I ended up drawing a good negate card. Play in response to any card. Negate that card and discard it. Bam! Just like that. Take that out. So I'm holding on to that for whatever they hit me with, because that's probably all they got left at this point. Let's see. Select a land area adjacent to any map edge. Remove 1 disc from that area, if any, then place 2 barbarian discs there. Now, the other one I think I have is just placing barbarians. Place 3 barbarian discs into a land area that is adjacent to a sea area. Okay, I can mess them up pretty good. And this is where I'm talking about, like, there's a take that. If it's adjacent to the map edge, I remove 1 from here. That's reduced what was a city there. Now it's a settlement. Now I could reduce it down to just a camp. And I put 2 barbarians there as well, which would wipe that camp out. And then on my next play, this is adjacent to a sea area. I could put some barbarians there, and I would have wiped out their back line. So I think that's what we're going to go for. Okay, we'll go for this one first. The remove 1 disc from an area and then place 2 barbarians. So we're going to remove a disc. And again, remember, if it's Troy, they cannot remove a disc from their home area, from the city of Troy, unless it's the Trojan horse card. So that's my play. I'm putting 2 barbarians onto the board. That's going to cause some competition during our competition phase. Now, the AI, the only cards they have left at this point are not competition cards, but cards that attack me and remove discs off the board. Let's see how far down that is on the list of priorities. All cards that gain them victory points, then talents, that cause the loss of cards, loss of victory points, loss of talents, and then number 9, all cards that remove discs from the map. So it's number 9 on the priorities, removing discs from the map. I would think that would be a little higher, but yeah, it is what it is. Let's see. We'll go. I'll tell you what, they've got 2 cards left that remove, both of them remove disc from the map. So let's just randomize this real quick. We'll do like this, and we will grab this one. All right, which one is this? And it kind of sucks because I know what both of them are. This one is not the one that's going to cost me, because one removes 3 and one removes 4. And I know I've got that negate card left. So I'm going to obviously negate the 4. Remove 1 disc from each of 3 contiguous land areas. So they're probably going to go, up here where I'm getting close to them, they're going to go bam, bam, and bam, just like that. They removed disc. Come on, flatten back out for me. 3 of my discs. That is horrible. I do not like that. I had settlements there, and now I am losing my growth. But I still have my FU card left. Place 3 Barbarian discs into a land area that is adjacent to a sea area. We're going to do that right now. I'm trying to decide where I want to put these guys. I could put them in that one and wipe them out and have a couple of barbarians left. But I'm kind of thinking I'd be better off putting them, these things roll a lot, into an area that's going to slow down their growth. Where we go? Let's just go here. It's closer. All right. And like I said, normally I would stack these, but I'm spreading them out just so it's easier for you guys to see on camera how many discs are in each one of the little areas. Now that leaves me only with a negate card left. It's their turn to play. They're going to play this. I'm going to negate it, quite obviously. Their last card was the remove 1 disc from each of up to 4 contiguous land areas. So they would have gone blam, blam, blam if I had not had a negate card and pushed me all the way back to Egypt and the Nile. So we would have lost a lot of that growth that had happened. So that actually wipes out both of our cards. We are now empty. I pass, AI passes, and we're going on to the next phase. Okay, so now we are into the competition phase. This is the combat competition. This is where the more aggressive aspects of the disc stacking is going to take place. Resolve a competition in every contested area, which again, a contested area is like these 2 areas are contested because there are more than 1 disc from each of the factions. But say, for example, if this one only had a single disc from each faction, that would not be considered contested. You have to have at least 2 discs from a single faction for it to be considered contested. Now, you can have multiple discs from multiple different civilizations, but at least one of those civilizations has to have 2 discs for it to be contested. Okay, so after that, each civilization present in the area may, in turn order, play any competition cards, which we don't have any of those right now. You're going to reveal all those. Any negation cards can be played. Don't have any. And then in turn order, resolve any wonders, special abilities. Ooh, now they do have a competition. They do have a special ability. Place a white disc into Troy and another white disc into a contested land area occupied by a Trojan disc. Now, I'm not going to bother placing one in Troy just because it's going to get removed. There's no competition going on there. So that'll get removed at the end phase, and I don't want to forget to do it later. But they will place one somewhere, and I'm trying to decide where they're going to go with. And I'm thinking if I go here, because they're not going to get... Well, they might get wiped out there. No, they've got talents. They can do that. We'll go here to try to keep their hold here so they don't get wiped out and have barbarians left. Okay, so here we go. They've got an extra disc, so now it's effectively like the red guys, the Trojans, have 3 discs in this area. This is considered an ally disc, helping them out, and it's also going to be the first removed when we start removing discs. I'm going to read this out to you, okay? Step number 4, participating factions now begin losing 1 disc at a time in the following manner. Simultaneously, remove 1 disc belonging to each faction with exactly 1 disc present in the competition area. Then simultaneously remove 1 disc belonging to each faction with exactly 2 discs, and then followed by the loss of 1 disc for each faction with 3, then 4, and you just keep going on like that, and it's simultaneously 1, 2, 3, 4 on up. A civilization's allied white disc, if any, must be removed before disc of their own color are removed. Immediately stop removing disc and step 4 when any of the following occur. Every participating faction has lost 1 disc. Every faction has exactly 1 or 0 disc remaining. Only a single faction remains in the area. And then if the area would still be considered contested once you have done those steps, you go back to 4 and you do it again. And there can be loot depending on if there's a city in the hex, stuff like that. So let's start our competition. You're supposed to start it up here at the top and work your way down. So top right to bottom left. We'll go here, this upper one. This is where our competition is going to start. No cards, no competition cards to be played. So we don't have to worry about that. No wonders, no more special abilities to be played. So now we're right there into step 4 where we're going to start simultaneously removing discs. Okay, so we will simultaneously remove 1 disc from each faction that only has 1 disc. Normally that means that red disc is going to go, but the AI will pay to prevent the removal of a disc with a talent. It will always try to protect its disc on the board, so now it doesn't lose that disc, it stays. Now we simultaneously remove 1 disc from each faction with 2 discs on the map. That means the Barbarians do lose a disc, and now competition ends because both factions have exactly 1 or 0 disc on the board, and our competition goes down to the next area. So these 2 areas, this area is not in competition anymore. But if Troy builds up again and has more discs there, they can attack the Barbarians and try to wipe them out of that area. Okay, so we have the same situation here, okay, that we had in the previous situation. There's, I'm just blanking out. The same situation. We've got disc that we have to remove. We're going to start same place, 1, 2, 3 on up. Now, both sides have exactly 3 discs. So no discs are going to be removed for 1 or 2, but when we get to 3, every civilization with 3 loses exactly 1 disc. But Troy has 1 talent left. They're going to spend it. So the Barbarians lose a disc, and that's it. So we go on to step 5, which means this area is still considered contested. So we go back through the combat again. Every civilization with 1 disc loses a disc. None. Every civilization with 2 discs loses a disc. Bam, they lose 1. Every civilization with 3 discs loses a disc. Bam. So they lose their disc. Now we go back. All right, we start again. Every civilization with 1 disc. Bam. Competition ends. They were able, through the use of talents and the ally, to protect their territory a little better than you would have originally anticipated when this first started off. So you got to give it to Troy. They held on to it. They don't have any money left in the bank to buy cards with or save or use later, but they stuck around on the map. Now, had this been my civilization or another civilization, not Barbarians, there would have been potential loot because 3 opposing discs were removed. But since it's Barbarians, it does not count for loot purposes. So Troy doesn't get any bonuses for that. But you got to give it to them. They actually held on pretty decent. They lost a lot of white discs, but they only have 1 city that was sacked pretty hard, but they kept the settlement, which is definitely going to help them out in the following turn. Okay, so now we are off to our reckoning phase. All right, this is like the end phase. And we're going to perform the following steps in the order given. C domination step. If a civilization occupies a sea area and controls all the adjacent land areas, remove all opposing discs from that sea area. Just as an example, say, I'm here. If I controlled all the surrounding land areas, then any opposing disc would be removed out of there. But that's not in play, and I don't think that's going to get in play. We're going to try to probably occupy over here, but we'll see what happens. Victory tally step. Each civilization gains 1 victory point for each of its cities and 1 victory point for each of its wonders in that area that the civilization occupies. Now remember, a AI can get a bonus 2 victory points depending on the type of scenario that you're playing. I'm not giving that to the AI on this one, but that's, again, up to you. You can give it to them, or you can not give it to them. You can give it to yourself. I mean, it's your game. Play it how you want, but that can be used to kind of help adjust the difficulty depending if you're, more skilled or an amateur. So for me, I do not have any wonders yet, but I do have 2 cities. Rock on. I get 2 victory points. Bam, just like that. And nothing else to score. They have 2 cities. Bastards. So they get 2 victory points as well. I have 2. They have 3. And actually, we're tied up on cities. I didn't anticipate that. So we'll have to see who's going to win turn order, which is right now. We set turn order in order of most to least cities. If tied, lower victory point chooses. Lower victory point chooses. Oh, yay! Cool. All right. Yeah, I'm going to keep going first because going first helps me out. So we're going to stay just right where we are with me going first since I am down 1 victory point compared to the AI. All right. And someone put down in one of the comments how to say this. Ananus. I think it was Ananus. I can't remember. I think it's Nay there in the center. But we are not doing Ananus. Both of us are still fully on the map, so we don't have to worry about that. Sudden death step. Now, again, that doesn't take place until turns 2 and 3, and that's when the epoch can potentially end. So you guys will see that on the following turn. Now we are in our draw step. Each civilization in turn order draws 3 cards plus 1 card for every 4 cities, which neither one of us has 4, and 1 card for each talent it spends. Pay before drawing cards. All right. I do have 4 talents, but I think I'm going to hold on to those for potentially saving some disc. I should have actually spent some of those to save some of my settlements, but I wasn't thinking. So I get 3 cards. The AI is going to get 3 cards on its draw step, but it has the ability as well to spend 1 disc from off of this, and it gets to lay out a couple of cards and pick one. So let's see. I'm going to try to kind of use its card play, like the cards that the AI plays in order as which card the AI would pick, if you guys get what I mean. All right, focus in. Gain 1 talent, then place 1 disc into each of up to 3 different land areas you occupy. That's a good one. But when you're looking at this, when it comes to the AI, you take notice of the first thing it says, which is gain 1 talent. So that's actually pretty high on its priorities. Play if the competition is in a land area. So this is a competition one, which you can actually tell because it has the C up there in the upper left. Add 1 white disc there and 1 white disc to each of up to 4 other contested land areas you occupy. That's a good one as well, but I think we're going to go with the talent one because I know that's high up on the list of priorities for them. So they get this extra card. You can see how cards like this, these investments, definitely pay off, and these wonders, besides giving you extra victory points, give you abilities like that as well. You can tell some of them have like growth. It tells you when it's going to be used. Adjust the turn order, card drawing, competition. So they each have a little type of benefit that they go for. I think I'm going to shoot for one of these growth ones because I remember using it in my practice game, and I found they worked pretty well. So that takes care of our draw step. We have our turn order figured out. We've got our cards. Now, if we had an end of epoch, we would flip it over and do our end of epoch phase, but we do not have an end of epoch yet. And I can actually bring these down. We are in turn 2, and now next turn, that's when we're going to have the little sudden deaths come into play. But we have finished our first turn, and I gotta say, this one actually ended relatively even. My first practice game at the end of the first turn, I think I only had 1 victory point, but I almost wiped Troy off the map just through brutal card play. But Troy, for some reason, had like 5 or 6 victory points, but they were barely hanging on to like 2 or 3 areas. And there was like black disc as far as the eye could see, and I had spread all the way up to the north. So they were winning for the moment, but they were very likely going to get wiped off the board in the following turn. This one's a little more even. We'll have to see what happens in part 2. But you guys stay tuned for that one. I will have it up for you as soon as possible. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, feel free to put them down in the comments. I know Mark is actually paying attention to these videos as well, one of the designers. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them down there. I'll try to answer them. Or you might get an answer directly from the designer himself. All right, that's going to be it for me. You guys take care. I'll catch you in the next one.